So today we'll move on to vestigial sideband modulation. In short, it is called VSB. As I was telling you, this is the last category of amplitude modulation techniques. Under amplitude modulation, we have studied double sideband full carrier, also known as the standard AM. Then we said the power needed for transmission is too high, which is wasted in sending the carrier. So we suppressed the carrier and we designed double sideband suppressed carrier modulation. And later on, we said sending two sidebands is also sending redundant information. You are sending the same information in both the sidebands. So if we can remove one of the sidebands and send only one sideband without the carrier, you will save on power as well as bandwidth. That's what we did in single sideband suppressed carrier modulation. And finally, we come to the last one, vestigial sideband modulation. Here we can do vestigial sideband suppressed carrier, or normally we do vestigial sideband reduced carrier modulation. We are going to send the carrier but with a reduced amplitude and power level. Okay. So that would be helpful for us to design simpler receivers. If I am going to transmit the carrier, the receiver design would be simple, not as complicated as suppressed carrier receiver systems. Okay. So this is what we are going to study. Now, why do we need this vestigial sideband modulation? What is the need for vestigial sideband modulation? This is basically needed because we said we can use SSB whenever the messages were significantly separated in the low frequency range, or the messages had almost zero low frequency content. For example, voice message from 0 to 300 Hertz, we don't have any information. It starts from 300 and it ends at 3.4K. So there was almost no low frequency content in voice signals. Such signals could be used for SSB-SC systems, because in the way we generated that using filtering technique, design of filter would become very stringent or very cumbersome, difficult if we had to design at high frequencies. So that transition band where the filter rolls off from maximum to minimum, for that region we had to make some provision. Some spacing should have been there between the two sidebands. That's the reason we used all those signals which did not have low frequency content. Okay. Whereas when we come to normal signals other than voice, say for example, if I want image or video signal transmission, then what would I do? In images or in videos, low frequency content has important information and it is significant for us to keep those low frequency content and filter them out correctly. I can't lose the low frequency information because most important significant information regarding the image will be present in the low frequency range only. Okay. So in that case, how would I use a single sideband technique? How can I filter out the required sideband and eliminate the other unwanted sideband? That is not possible with a normal bandpass filter. So they came up with another idea where we will keep the required sideband completely, and because of the non-ideality of the bandpass filter, if I am going to extract a small portion of the unwanted sideband also, it is okay. So we call that as the vestigial. Vestigial is for waste. So the wanted sideband, I need it in full, but the unwanted or the wasted sideband, I'll take it partially to accommodate the filter design. I want to have a simpler filter design. So I'm going to take the unwanted sideband also partially along with the complete required sideband. That is the main idea behind vestigial sideband modulation. Okay. So vestigial sideband modulation is a technique where we are simplifying the filter design needed in an SSB-SE system so that along with the complete required sideband, I'll allow a portion of the unwanted sideband to also filter through. So in the bandpass filter, I'm going to allow a small portion of the unwanted sideband along with the complete required sideband. And this would be very helpful in case of such messages where you have important, significant, low frequency content like images, videos, so on. So the low frequency content is important and it cannot be avoided. In such cases, we need to use vestigial sideband modulation, and this was used in the television systems in the earlier days. So even today, even when we've gone for digital TV and digital video broadcasting, we still use this to some extent. Okay. So vestigial sideband modulation is very important for transmission of images or videos. For voice, SSB-SC was more used in applications, please remember, whereas VSB is preferred for image or video transmission. Okay. So, as I was telling you, we use the same block diagram. Look at the block diagram for generation of VSB wave. You send the message signal M of t along with the carrier signal AC cos 2 pi FCT to a product modulator or multiplier, and then the output of the product modulator is the double sideband suppressed carrier signal. See, whenever you multiply message with carrier, you get M of t into AC cos 2 pi FCT, which is nothing but your double sideband suppressed carrier signal. We always generate DSB-SC by multiplying message with carrier. Okay. So once you get your DSB-SC signal, remember this DSB-SC signal has both the sidebands attached. There is no gap between the two sidebands because this is a image or video signal, and I'll use a bandpass filter. Here we will rename that filter as sideband shaping filter. So I'm going to call the bandpass filter as a sideband shaping filter, and I will design the filter as per requirement. So we'll use that filter to get the required vestigial sideband wave. Okay. So I'll show you how that VSB looks. Yeah, look at this waveform. From whatever block diagram we had designed, if this was your message, initial message M of F or M of 0, a band limited message which is limited to the frequency range 0 to W. Okay, this was your band limited message. Now, once you multiply it with the carrier, this signal shifts to the frequency FC, the carrier frequency. So M of F minus FC is this right hand side spectrum, and M of F plus FC is your left hand side spectrum. Okay. So you're going to get the signal shifted to the carrier frequency when we multiply this message with the carrier. Now comes the usage of a bandpass filter. The bandpass filter will be used in such a way that you're going to filter out this required sideband. Say I want USB. I want USB completely. I'm going to filter out USB fully, but along with the required USB, I will filter out a small portion of LSB also. So LSB here, the lower sideband is not required, but because of the filter used, the characteristics of the filter, it's non-ideal. I take out a small portion of LSB also along with the complete required USB. One more thing you notice, see the filtered signal looks something like this in the last row of the spectrum. So what else do you notice here? Do I have the complete required sideband? Is this USB there in full? What do you notice here in the last spectrum? We have the USB in full in terms of frequency, but the amplitude of the USB is limited. You see, in terms of amplitude y-axis, I'm removing a part of this USB signal, or I'm limiting the amplitude of this USB signal because I want to save on power. When I've added a part of the unwanted sideband, the vestige of LSB, you can see this darkened portion, which is not required. So this will surely occupy some bandwidth as well as power, right? So it's going to occupy a small bandwidth along with power. So you will use the filter in such a way that you will reduce the amplitude or power level of the required sideband to adjust for the power needed to carry this vestige. So I need some power to carry this vestige because this will also be filtered. So whatever power I am going to need here, that much of power I will limit in the required sideband. So you will just limit on power means you are cutting the amplitude. You will reduce the amplitude of the required sideband so that you will limit its power, and whatever power you have saved here in the required sideband, you will use that to transmit this vestigial sideband or the unwanted sideband. So here USB is there in terms of full frequency or bandwidth. From FC to FC plus W, I have this USB. I will only reduce its amplitude and power so that I will accommodate for this vestigial sideband, the unwanted part of LSB, which will be filtered out by the filter. I hope you understood how you should draw this vestigial sideband and how it looks. So let us try to derive the expression for this, okay? And for that, we'll consider the same circuit diagram, the message along with carrier given to the multiplier, and whatever DSB SC signal is generated here, and I will consider this sideband shaping filter to have an impulse response h of t.
Ma'am.
The impulse response of the sideband shaping filter. So SB shaping filter stands for sideband shaping filter. It's the same diagram what we had discussed, okay? So h of t is its impulse response. What is the signal I have here? So what is the signal you see here? I'll call this S1 of t. This is double sideband suppressed carrier, okay? It is a double sideband suppressed carrier signal, and S1 of t is what? It is m of t into AC cos 2 pi fct. Okay, so this is the so this is the signal at this point, okay? S1 of t, which is the DSB SC, double sideband suppressed carrier signal, okay? Now, when S1 of t is passed through the sideband shaping filter, what would be the output? The final output here, let me call it V naught of t. What would be the output of this sideband shaping filter?
Convolution of
Any signal which passes through a system with impulse response h of t. This system has impulse response h of t. What would be the output of the system? Yes?
Convolution of S1
Please
of t
answer.
and
You send a signal through a system having impulse response h of t. What is the output of the system? You've studied signals and systems so many times. If S1 of t passes through this filter, yes, the output would be convolution. Exactly. Therefore, V0 of t would be what? S1 of t convolved with. So S1 of t is your DSB-SC signal convolved with h of t. H of t is the impulse response. So this is S1 of t convolved with h of t. Okay. Now, what should you do? Let's convert everything to frequency domain. So what is S1 of f? In frequency domain, S1 of f, this one becomes M of f, M of t becomes M of f into product becomes convolution. What else? AC cos 2 pi fct. What is the frequency domain response? It is delta f minus fc plus delta f plus fc by 2. Can you see that fully? Okay. So this becomes M of f, conversion of M of t to frequency domain. Product becomes convolution. AC, I'll keep it as it is. Cos 2 pi fct in frequency domain is delta f minus fc plus delta f plus fc. Okay. And the whole thing divided by 2, I am bringing it here. So this is S1 of f, and here, therefore, what would be V0 of f? What would be V0 of f? Can you tell me? What is V0 of f? This one you should convert. V0 of t becomes V0 of f in frequency domain. It would be S1 of f. S1 of f. Convolution in time domain becomes what in frequency domain? If it is convolution in the time domain, it becomes a product in the frequency domain, right? They are always interchanged. A product or multiplication in time domain becomes convolution in frequency domain. Convolution in time domain becomes multiplication in frequency domain into h of f. H of t and h of f, I'll say, are Fourier transform pairs. H of t represents the impulse response of this filter. So, in frequency domain, it is represented by h of f. Okay. So, this would be the equation. Now, I want you to substitute S1 of f here, and so this S1 of f, you can take it one step further. Shall I clean this out? So here, what would S1 of f be? So this S1 of f is M of f minus fc plus M of f plus fc into AC by 2. This AC by 2, convolution of M of f with delta f minus fc gives you M of f minus fc. Convolution of M of f with delta, we have done this so many times, right? So convolution of M of f with delta f plus fc gives you M of f plus fc. Okay, so you will get S1 of f represented by this and V naught of f represented by this equation. Now, I want you to substitute equation 2 in equation 1. Do it and tell me what you will get. I'll clean this out a little. Using equation 2 in equation 1, what would you get? V naught of f. See, this is S1 of f into h of f. Therefore, AC by 2 m of f minus fc plus m of f plus fc into h of f. That's all. Okay, we'll call that equation 3. All I am doing is I am just substituting for this S1 of f, which is given by equation 2. Okay, so we'll get the output of the modulation. This is VSB-SC modulation. The block diagram what we have drawn is a VSB-SC modulation system. Okay, and in the modulation system, equation 3 represents the output of the final filter. Is this clear? So once you have the output of this filter, now let me go to the receiver side. I want to detect the VSB-SC which I am going to transmit. Okay, so let's go for VSB-SC detection. So the next step is detection of VSB-SC. So here I am going to receive V naught of t. Whatever I had transmitted, V naught of t you had transmitted, I will receive that. Again, we are going to use coherent detection or synchronous detection. How do we detect coherently? We have to have a locally generated carrier cos 2 pi fct whose frequency and phase will be same as the transmitter carrier. So the locally generated carrier will have same frequency and phase as the transmitted carrier. Therefore, you will multiply the received signal. So this is the received signal. The received signal you are going to multiply with the locally generated signal. And what should I use here? Excuse me. What type of filter we use in a coherent detector? Please answer. Unmute yourself and answer. What type of filter you will use in a coherent detector? Yes? Please answer something. Are you people there? See, you can only let us know whether you are there and listening only when you answer. Which filter should I use in a coherent receiver or a coherent detector? A low pass filter. Again, only few people, only as I told you, only 2 to 3 people keep answering. So if you don't answer, no attendance. Okay. So you have to use a low pass filter as the filtering device in a receiver or coherent detector. So this is a coherent detector. I am trying to detect the transmitted VSB-SC signal. So if you are trying to detect that signal, you should receive the signal V naught of t and multiply it with the locally generated carrier. If you want, you can consider some amplitude AC dash cos 2 pi fct or just consider cos 2 pi fct. And then the output here let me call this as V1 of t. It is sent through the low pass filter, and here I should get the final output which is proportional to the message signal. I want a final output, say V01 of t, I'll call it as V01. The final detected output should be proportional to the message. Okay, that's the main aim of detection or reception of the signal. Now, when we are implementing this, let us see what happens to the equation. So, it is this equation 3 which is given at the input side. Here, one input to this product modulator is this signal. Excuse me.
ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಶೀಟ್ ನಾವು ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ ಆ
ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸೆಲ್ ಶೀಟ್
ನಾನು ಕಳಿಸಿದರೆ
ಆ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್‌ಶಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಂಗೆ
ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ
ಹೌದಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು
ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ
ಹುಡುಗರು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು
ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಶೀಟ್
ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಅದೇನು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಶೀಟ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ
ಅವ್ನು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಬಿಡಿ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯು ಸೆಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅದನ್ನೇ
ನಾವು ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅವ್ರು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಈಗ
ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು okay, sorry. So once you receive this signal, what should you do? You should multiply it with the locally generated cosine. Therefore, V1 of f, if you want to write V1 of t first, V1 of t will be V0 of t into cos 2 pi fc t. So V0 of t is the received signal here. So V0 of t multiplied with cos 2 pi fc t, you are going to get V1 of t. If you want V1 of f, it is V0 of f, product becomes convolution. Don't forget that. Every time you have a product, you have to change to convolution whenever you shift from time to frequency or frequency to time. Okay. So this changes to convolution. And what is the Fourier transform of a cosine? Delta f minus fc plus delta f plus fc by 2. Correct? So whenever you have a cosine, its Fourier transform is delta f minus fc plus delta f plus fc divided by 2. Okay. Now, what would this become? What is V0 of f convolved with an impulse? Yes? Can somebody answer? Lohit? Can you tell me what is V0 of f convolution with delta f minus fc?
Ma'am, we will get the output at that particular instant. Ma'am. V0 of f minus
What was m of f convolved with delta f minus fc?
m of f minus fc.
We did that before, no? Similar logic.
Yes, ma'am. V0 of f minus
Please answer. Rajwan? Can you answer? Okay, somebody who knows, please answer. What is V0 of f convolved with an impulse?
We get V0 of f minus fc.
We'll take it outside. V0 of f convolved with an impulse will be V0 of f minus fc. It is the given signal, exactly, Nishit, you're right, Nishit Shastri. It is V naught of F minus Fc plus V naught of F plus Fc by 2. So all you have to do is just like what we did with M of F. So M of F convolved with an impulse is M of F minus Fc, where the given signal will exist where the impulse exists. That's all. That's the basic property of impulses or convolution with impulses. So wherever the impulse exists, the given signal V naught of F exists there. V naught F minus Fc plus V naught F plus Fc. Okay. So this is the output. Now I want you to substitute V naught of F value in this equation. So this is equation 4. That is equation 4. Please substitute this V naught of F here. V naught of F is given by this. If I substitute here, what should I do? In V naught of F, the frequency variable is this F. Wherever you have this F, you replace it with F minus Fc, you will get this signal. So in place of F, if you put F minus Fc, you are going to get this. Wherever you have, everywhere you have F, you have to replace it with F minus Fc. In all places, wherever you have F, you replace it with F minus Fc, then it becomes V naught of F minus Fc. Okay? Do it and check what you get. All you have to do is just replacing. So AC by 2, M of F minus Fc minus Fc, F minus 2 Fc. Okay. F, wherever I have F, I am putting F minus Fc. I have one more minus Fc. So it becomes M of F minus 2 Fc plus M of what? F minus Fc plus Fc. Minus and plus cancels. So you are left with M of F into H of F minus Fc into H of F minus Fc, you are able to see. Okay. So this would be the first part of this equation. I have replaced F in V naught of F with F minus Fc wherever this F was there. Instead of variable F, I am substituting F minus Fc. So this becomes the replacement and I am done with this. What should I do next? I will replace all positions of F with F plus Fc. So next, I have a half here already and AC by 2. So this becomes AC by 4. There was a half in this equation also. So what should I do next? Plus the same AC by 4 holds good. So I'll use a flower bracket. Can you replace this F with F plus Fc next and tell me what you get? M of F plus Fc minus Fc. Plus and minus cancels out. Plus M of F plus Fc plus Fc into H of F plus Fc. Close the brackets. So this is the complete equation, or in short, if I want to simplify that, this is AC by 4 into M of F minus 2 Fc plus M of F here into this whole thing into H of F minus Fc, the first part, okay, plus the last here m of f, this has cancelled, plus m of f plus 2fc, this one f plus 2fc, the whole thing into h of f plus fc. The whole thing multiplied with AC by 4. Are you able to follow this? Yes or no? Any doubts? Are you able to follow what is being done here? So, all what we are doing is, I am trying to realize V naught of f minus fc first. Wherever I have V naught of f, I will replace the variable f with f minus fc. I will get this first part of the equation. Next, I need plus V naught of f plus fc. What you will do, wherever you have f and V naught of f, you will replace it with f plus fc next. You will get the second. Now, this equation, I am going to write it in such a way that I'll write all the low frequency terms together and higher frequency terms together. Why do we do it? For the simple reason, this V naught, V1 of T, what you have, all what we are writing is V1 of F. Please remember, whatever we have written is V1 of F, this signal. So, this signal here, this passes through low pass filter next. In our detector, the next stage is a low pass filter. Okay. So, since this passes through low pass filter next, I have to isolate in this equation, the final equation what we had written. I try to group all the low frequency and high frequency terms. So, can you do it? Therefore, V1 of f can be written as, I think I can write it a little more to the left. V1 of f can be written as what? In this signal, AC by 4. I'll take m of f minus 2fc into h of f minus fc. I am multiplying this term with h of f minus fc. It was outside the bracket, so just multiply. Okay. Next, the second term what I have here, m of f into h of f minus fc. This m of f is the low frequency message, the required message. So we'll write it in the next step. Okay. And what else is there in this equation, which is at high frequency, at 2fc also. In the second part also, see, I don't have a color chalk here. See, this is the low frequency part. Here, this is also the low frequency required message signal. So, these two we will write it later. Okay? These two we will write it a bit later. Let's write all the high frequency components. So, plus m of f plus 2fc, m of f plus 2fc into h of f plus fc. M of f plus 2fc into h of f plus fc. These components are all these are high frequency components. How do you know that they are high frequency components? Because they have the term m of f shifted to the frequency 2fc. The message is getting shifted to the point double the carrier frequency. So surely it is a high frequency term. Okay. Similarly, even here m of f will be left shifted to the point 2fc. So all these are high frequency terms. Plus, let me include the low frequency terms here, AC by 4. into what is left here? M of f into h of f minus fc plus here m of f into h of f plus fc. So all what we have done here is group the high frequency terms together and all the low frequency. So all these represent the low frequency components. We have written them together. Okay, high frequency, low frequency we have separated. Now we will see what is the use of doing this. So what's the use of doing this job? We are going to send this signal V1 of t or V1 of f through low pass filter. So you are going to send this V1 of t or V1 of f. In frequency domain it's V1 of f, in time domain it's V1 of t. You send it through a low pass filter. When you send it through a low pass filter, which terms will remain and which terms get eliminated? All the high frequency terms which we have written in the upper line, the first line terms will get eliminated. All these terms will get eliminated and only what we have written in this will remain because they are of low frequency range. Okay, so you just write one sentence. When V1 of f when V1 of f or V1 of t is sent through the low pass filter, when V1 of f or V1 of t is sent through low pass filter, the output would be V01 of f. Since we have everything in terms of f, I'll list it as V01 of f. V01 of f is AC by 4 m of f into h of f minus fc plus m of f into h of f plus fc. Okay. So you can ask one question. Here this h of f minus fc and h of f plus fc have the what? Carrier frequency in the equation. Fc is there. Fc is also a high frequency. But we will design this in such a way that the h values will be made a constant. So if I regroup this, I can call it AC by 4 m of f. I'll take m of f as the common factor. Take it out. You have h of f minus fc plus h of f plus fc. Okay. So the final equation V01 of f is this. Call this equation 4 or whatever, equation 5. This is the final output after the low pass filter. Now you just say note. How will I get back the message signal here? I'll be able to get or recover this m of f from which you will get m of t, the actual message, only if this second term is a constant, right? This should be a constant. Write that. Note, the required message can be obtained. The required message can be obtained only if the term h of f minus fc plus h of f plus fc is a constant and and approximately equal to h of 2fc, approximately equal to, or I'll say 2h of fc is also okay, 2h of fc, so that now it acts as a scaling factor in the amplitude of the recovered message signal. Scaling factor in the amplitude of recovered message signal as shown. See, if this whole thing is a constant, it gets multiplied with the actual amplitude AC by 4 and the message signal is scaled to that amplitude. So whenever I multiply any amplitude with a constant, it is amplitude scaling, yes or no? So here amplitude scaling happens when we use this signal correctly. Okay. Based on, next you say, based on this requirement, the actual shape of the sideband shaping filter is designed as shown below, if you are writing it below. Okay, this one, let me consider. H of f or h of fc, whatever you want. You can simply call it as h of f because we called the filter to have impulse response h of t. H of t in frequency domain is h of f. Okay. Therefore, this is the shape with which they designed the filter. You see this point. So this is your transition band of the filter. This slanting line represents the transition band of the filter, the region where the filter rolls off in gain. This is the constant range. So the required sideband, you see the required sideband will exist. If you have the required sideband, it exists something like this, from here to here, right? This whole thing is the required sideband. The required sideband will be completely filtered in frequency, but a small portion of this amplitude of the required sideband we are going to cut off or limit because of the filter roll-off. So you are removing the amplitude, but you have the complete frequency band of the required upper sideband because your filter gain is higher. This is the shape of the filter. Okay. So you are going to get the complete required sideband. Along with that, you will get a small portion of this unwanted LSB also. Okay. This is how we represent the filter. And if this center point is Fc, the carrier frequency, then this corner where this slanting line ends, that point is Fc plus Fv. And this point where the other end of this damping line is Fc minus Fv. Fv represents this small vestige of the frequency. Okay, so Fv is the vestige of the unwanted sideband. Is this clear? So we'll talk a little more about this VSB in the next class.